Good morning. This is Desiree Dubois, founder of An Empowered Woman and Homework. And homework is where you live, where you work where you live, anywhere in the world. And every Wednesday morning, we have coffee and conversation where we speak to with women, professionals, and entrepreneurs about their programs, their products, and their services. And this morning, we have the pleasure of speaking with Kimle Nailer, who is the founder and contractor with Nail Right Construction. Good morning, Kimle. How are you?
Just got my mute on. I'm doing very well and excited to be with everyone today.
Well, I'm just excited. Well, first of all, I'm excited to see women in traditionally a male-dominated industry because I know that just then there's got to be something special about you to be able to break through those barriers and to deal
Right.
with those personalities. So that takes a lot of tenacity, a lot of perseverance, and just a lot of, to me, a lot of strength to be able to do that. And then to be able to develop those skills to be in the industry and maintain your beauty, your femininity that you have been able to so eloquently do. Many times when I do see those exceptions, they're more on the masculine side, and you've actually encountered that. So tell us
Yes.
about what got you into it, what drew you into it, and then we'll go from there.
Well, I will not say I raised my hand and say I want to be a contractor. No, that's not how it all began. It actually transitioned or morphed from my real estate investing. So I started in investing, and that's how I learned about, all the repairs for some of my work I was doing and working with my brothers, working with my dad. And then I started picking up some of the things to do myself because I just, I was around it all the time, quick repairs. And my dad took time to make sure I knew how to do quick, fix the plumbing, change light switches and things of that nature. And then it just morphed because my family have a sister and a couple brothers, in-laws that are in the trades. They work every day in the skilled trades. So I started just kind of on the sideline doing things on my properties, and I knew and understood what happens to get a home ready and a home rebuilt or remodeled. And then Detroit, where I live, I'm from Detroit, started a big resurgence in 2015. And I remember talking to my family in 1995. Hey guys, we should start this family business. It was a conversation in our family's living room at one of my brother's house. And it just died. Nobody ever did anything. But every year I renewed the state corporation papers. And then in 2015, which was 20 years later, 25 years later, I'm like, let's go for it. And I just did the due diligence for the next 2 or 3 years to understand what it would take to get a company going, took all kinds of entrepreneur classes. Because I'm a business analyst by profession. I do nothing in the construction space at all. But I made the transition, and in process, had some really good results. I'm proud to say I signed a contract just this morning for the remodel of a Foot Locker at one of our local malls. So it's growing and people are hearing about us. And I wanted to move out of the residential market. We all know what happened in COVID. No one was letting you in. So my business came to a screeching halt. I was on unemployment for most of last year and some of this year. And so I definitely focused to stay inside the commercial space this year, and was able to get about 5 contracts this year. And I set a goal. We talked about it yesterday. I need 2 more. And so I did ink one today. I don't get excited about proposals, only the ink. So hopefully that will get inked before the end of the week. And if not, I'll work hard to get another one. So that's how I transitioned into construction. And the company name was, I think, created by my family. I think my sister-in-law came up with it because we used, my last name is Nailer, as you can see, and we just hyphenated Nail Right Construction. That was after having 3 or 4 names. We all like, yes, let's go for it. So I incorporated it, but I saw the vision of the impact we can make in our city of Detroit. Even back then, I was talking about buying homes. I had lived in Chicago, and I worked with an attorney who worked only with real estate investors. So I knew what was possible, but I didn't understand when I came back. I was still their little sister, and they didn't know if I knew what I was talking about. I went off to Chicago and came back with this big pipe dream, right? So putting everything in perspective, I later understood, as you said, I have to go for it, and they'll have to see it as it is created. So here we are with Nail Right Construction now. We're in our 6th year of business since we relaunched in the commercial space, and had the privilege to work on our new arena that was built, Little Caesars Arena. 2 years ago, our Pistons team relocated from one of our suburbs where they played and came to Detroit. So they built a brand new training Center. And as a minority, I was selected to be the minority partner
Yeah.
to learn how to do bigger contracting. And so I work with the Brinker team. And like I say, I did a 50,000 square foot remodel of a retail store. And now we're working on a Foot Locker. So it's growing in the space in the direction I want to go. Slow but sure.
And I know you still have other interests in other areas. And so how are you approaching this? Is this going to be a primary business for now, like your exit plan, or do your other projects primary and this is your cash flow? How are you positioning yourself and how are you balancing it all?
Okay, so real estate is my cash flow. I believe everyone should have their own baseline of rental income for passive income. So you can always tell people where to go if you say, I don't think I want to do that. You can sit back and you have that income that takes care of you. So I have rental properties, several single family homes that takes care of that. However, the construction space feeds into my vision of empowering women. And we needed an economic arm, economic stimulus, and specifically for Black women. I currently am the national president of the Association of Black Women in Construction that's headquartered out of Miami. And my mission and our mission collectively is to make impact in our communities. Do you know how many billion-dollar contracts are signed every year, and we're not taking part in that? And as the Black community, we often talk about reparations. It probably will never go away. So what we said, we could be a part of the wealth transfer that we're looking for Black communities by learning this industry. Think about the roads, the bridges, new projects that go up. And so we host billion-dollar luncheons, and I'll make sure I put information in there. There's industries that are all been infused with billions of dollars over a short window of time, maybe 3 to 5 years, 5 to 8 years. You do the math, that's $2 billion spent a year. You don't need a lot of that to make an impact in your business. But what it affords you is an opportunity to employ with higher wages. Higher wages and employment is what stabilizes communities. There's not a neighborhood that's better than another, just more cash flow circulating. So construction becomes a viable option. And I'm in Detroit. We have large sums of abandoned property that we can teach the trades on these homes. Is almost what we call an ecosystem, where we can use these homes that give someone's wealth through real estate or home ownership if they don't want to be an investor. We're teaching the skilled trades to these community residents who might not have found a way to have higher earning. Think about our returning citizens and the recidivism that happens when they come out of prison, go back to prison. You could put their hand to a hammer tool, knives, and learn to, the skilled trades, mechanics, and all the things that they can do, and get paid $20 in a matter of 2 or 3 years. And, in a union, they start at like $17. Year two in the apprenticeship, you can already be at 25. That's a game changer for someone who has had no income. And we find that returning citizens work very well. This becomes a solution for them. Think about all the moms who get to restore themselves with their children coming home. Because I just learned recently that if you don't have a home address, you can't be released from prison. Your sentence has been served, but you don't have an address. So I just met an organization where some ladies say, look, we can get these homes, teach them the trades. They're employed, they're fixing homes, they could be fixing their home, kind of like a hybrid of the Habitat for Humanity, where you do the sweat equity. Mm-hmm. So construction now is infused in I call my mission work, my purpose work, which is helping women find their inner essence of beauty and find a way to share your flavor with the world.
Fantastic. So that's the beautiful perspective and that's a beautiful mission. And I would love to support you any way we can on that. Now, those of us who have invested and then have those repairs as far as rentals or remodels or even remodels or rehabbing, what if we have to hire, we don't have the luxury of having you as our contractor? What are some of the definite things we should look at? Because even now we're doing a mild remodel and we meet with so many trades, and I can just tell when I meet with the guys, sometimes some of the things that they're saying, they really underestimate our intelligence.
It happens often in the industry. I was in the Home Depot and I was talking to these guys. Oh no, we don't need anything like not from a girl. I'm like, well then don't worry about it, dude. Sign the contract without you. I'll find somebody. But so for those of us who are in the skilled trades, many of us in this community, as a result of the real estate investor goddesses, our sisters, who are learning real estate as a viable means of creating wealth through real estate. You start a project, you have to have a plan. And with your contractor, you have to have a plan for your contractor. People say, I want my kitchen done. That's the idea. What's the clear plan? I want to make sure I want new countertops, I want new cabinets, new flooring, whatever it is you want. You need to make a plan for that and put a budget beside it. I want to spend this amount on the kitchen overall. I don't want to spend this much more than this on the cabinets, because cabinets can get you now. You know, they have these beautiful cabinets you can fall in love, and but you want to remember your budget. So you always want to start with a plan. Secondly, get recommendations. You don't know who knows what they're doing if you don't have a good referral. You can go see a site of some work that they've completed. Interview several candidates. Don't just take the first person that says they'll do it. You want to check, make sure they're licensed. You have a recourse. If someone is licensed, the reason why we're licensed as residential builders, so you have an actual advocate with the state. Well, in our state of Michigan, we have an advocacy with the state. Even if there's a problem, we actually have a fund that is used for when people have really jacked up projects in their homes, that they'll use some of those funds to help get their homes restored. So you want to check for licensing and adequate insurance. You don't want a disaster to happen on your home and they talk about using your home insurance. No, you don't want that on your policy. You want to visit job sites that they may be working on, see what they're doing, get something active so you can go back and see the finished products. Of course, as you said, when you're interviewing several people, the purpose of that is to get multiple bids so you can see what I can get for my money. I know I only want to spend $12,000. How can I maximize the 12? But let's not get so excited when somebody going to give us the world for 12,000. It's just not feasible. That's too much. You should know to run. That's too much stuff for $12,000. So keep some solid benchmarks in place. And then, like I say, set your payment schedule. How do you need to separate yourself from those funds? There should be a payment schedule that has to be honored by both parties, and put everything you decide to do, agree to in writing in a contract. So those 8 things will protect you overall. And we can go a little deeper into those just to kind of get a better idea of how you can protect yourself. But first and foremost, have your plan, what you want to budget, and then start your interviewing process from there. Multiple bids, vet who you select, licensing, insurances. Remember, you have to protect your home. And visit what they've done. Make sure they're going to be a good candidate for you.
One thing I find that helps a lot in your first point, as far as have a plan, is actually have pictures and photographs, because I find that helpful for myself. So when I'm preparing, because I'm looking at all these pictures and models, and even going into certain places, taking photographs. If I like went to a restaurant and I love their bathroom, so I took the light and the sinks, whatever. So it really helps, because also it gives you the ability to price it out. How much is this going to cost? So when someone's giving you the bid, you have a reasonable amount, reasonable knowledge of what's supposed to cost. So they say that if this lighting, again, fixture costs, $200 or $500, and they come in and say it's going to cost, they can get it for $800, and you already know that. And then I find that sometimes we feel they can make us feel intimidated because they speak all this and this and this and this language. But being able to say, I find speaking up to them, like saying, okay, well, I see it on so-and-so, for $500. What would be the difference between $500 and $800? Is that you're, call them out on it? Is that you're writing it up? Is that your time and whatever? Because if it is, then that makes a difference. But let them know that they'll be meek with them, let them know that okay, this does cost someplace else. So either they'll become more competitive and then get more realty, or say, I marked it up this amount of money because I got to do this and this and this. Then they can have to negotiate. Another thing too, one of your points is that, get multiple bids and let them know that you're getting multiple bids. I mean, get their pricing and I say, can you list it all for me in writing and so forth? And then they have a couple other options I'm looking at. So that way that comment, then they don't just walk out thinking they got it or got it. Maybe
Right.
they'll come back and they'll say, well, I can be a little bit more negotiable, or I can do this, I can do that. Because they feel that they're the one and only, then they've got you. But, and like you said, don't go to these expensive, like for a paint job, I think someone quoted me $2,200, but everybody else was like 6,000. So my concern is like, well, what's the difference? That's really,
Yeah,
and many times you do get what you pay for as far as the skill factor. So
it's
if I
true.
would go with that, I would go see some of their work and see if it's just a sloppy
Mhm.
work. See, and maybe sometimes people, there have been incidents where people just don't have a big overhead, or they just don't have
That's
a,
correct.
they don't have, they're not bringing in, they're doing it all themselves, and
Mhm.
they have, discounts for the supplies, or
Mhm.
they just don't need a lot of money. They don't have a, they're
Yeah.
not up to market.
And
So
sometimes they're just not valuing their talent. So you may lock up on a low price. Don't just rule it out because it's the
right,
Lord's. If you can get a site visit, you can determine if it's going to deliver what you want. And
right.
that's important, really important. Mhm.
Right, or start it in a small area, say, okay, let my you start with the kitchen, and then you can tell by a small area, that gives you an idea, even how they prep it, how they do this and
Mhm.
that. So, exactly, but it is very tricky, because once they do the work, I mean, that's where most of the disputes and miscommunication comes
Mhm.
in. If they're not writing it down, if you don't have it in writing, like, does it include, the supplies? And
Right.
I think fine is like, now, does it include also the cost of getting rid of the dirt, cost of getting rid of the bricks, or cost of getting rid of stuff? That's a
The
really
debris
big,
removal, it's all needs to be written, what you want done. Itemize everything in service, like tomorrow. I'll do a site walkthrough and I'll confirm that we have included everything. Because the last thing I want someone to tell me, well, I thought you was doing this wall too. Oh, no, that wasn't in the budget. Well, that's what we paid for. We expect to get that. So we
mhm,
walk through and we confirm everything is according to what everyone's expectation is. And it's simply to do that up front, and you don't have any issues. I want to just add to the part where you said getting multiple bids. Don't be afraid to tell someone you're getting more bids, because people think, oh, then they may not give me the information I need. And just tell them, this is the only budget I have.
mhm,
I'm going to be between 7 and 8 grand. That's all I want to spend. And I appreciate your budget. You're a little bit out of range, or I just want to make sure if I can, maximize it. And people like that upfront conversation, because
mhm,
then it allows them to say, okay, where can is there any wiggle room? I'll tell them that's the most I could do. For me to confidently do this project, this is the baseline I could do. If you can use it, let me know, then I'll prepare your full proposal. If not, I understand. And that's how I keep my sanity. I'm like, oh, darn it, I didn't get that one. This is what I needed to be at for me to get the work. And if that doesn't fit your budget, that's fine.
mhm.
Because it is true that the biggest headaches will come from those little bitty deals that you like, this ain't even worth my time.
It is, it is. The thing is, it's a lot of little things, like the gentleman that came, gave me an estimate yesterday for electrician, and usually they give it for estimate, and then so he counted the hours, he said, I'm charged so much an hour, I estimate so many hours, and so much for the supplies, and it's a range between this and this. So he says, oh, but I'm also gonna count this as an hour. I said, this what? It's this meeting. I said, well, first of all, I didn't time it, I don't know if it's an hour or not, and I thought this was a free estimate. So there's part of me that says, okay, at least you told me up front. He says, well, at least I'm telling you up front. I would
Mhm.
prefer for him to tell me up front than not. And he still was kind of under what I had budgeted, so I wasn't, but I would prefer that he told me up front. But then the thing is that I could have said, well, then suppose I didn't go with you. You wouldn't have been able to charge me at all. Suppose I just got the estimate and didn't do
Mhm.
anything. So those little things
Yeah.
like that, decisions you have to make, you have to try to find out whether you think the person's trying to pull a wool over your head and be a
Right.
fast one on you, or whether they're just being upfront and honest.
But
So
Desiree, the demand is so high right now that it's not uncommon right now for people to actually charge you to come out to prepare an estimate. And that can go from anywhere from $40 to 100 plus, but you need to know that up front before they come
yeah,
to your doorstep. I
right,
charge $100 to come out because
right.
it helps me filter where I need to spend my time. People are serious. And it also all applies to what you're doing. And I do a very thorough consultation. So you have a sense of, we work in a partnership. And you're talking about pictures as well. Pinterest is a great site. And it is also rewarding for your contractor when they deliver something you show them a picture of too. So we did a project. It was a 1920 completely gut remodel. And she had this image of the bathroom where the shower was in front of the bathtub. I was like, never seen that before, but she saw it on Pinterest and she wanted it. And we were, and then we created it for her, and she was very, very pleased, very, very pleased. I mean, we definitely we try and deliver what you want. So having a photo and an image of what you want created is great because then everyone knows the end result and it gives you the conversation and the baseline say, oh, this looks like it or it doesn't.
Right.
And to minimize the guesswork. So it's really a lot of communication and construction. It's just like real estate. You need to make money on paper first. You should know what your kitchen or bathroom or basement is going to look like on paper first. You're going to make sure it meets what you're looking for. Because once you're in the work is going. And, that's not what I was expecting. They know that doesn't look like, and then you have it gives you some leverage to have the conversation.
It does, and there's nothing more disappointing than having someone do work and either feeling like you're too late to make the changes, or it's going to cost you too much to make the changes,
Right.
or you don't get what you want, and again, your idea of a country farm style chick kitchen could be different than my idea of a
Mhm.
country farm style kitchen. So having
Absolutely.
even breaking it down, and we're breaking it down to the light fixtures, to the fixtures, to the faucets, to the sinks, to the, just really get pictures. There's so many things in magazines, and again,
Mhm.
I've been watching all these shows, and I just take screenshots. I do. I
Yeah.
probably I take screenshots of the TV shows or whatever the videos that I'm watching, so they can see this is
Mhm.
exactly what I want the black
Mhm.
walls to be or this to be. And then they can say sometimes that what looks there may not work in a specific location. And it's up
Correct.
to tell you that, well, that black looks good there, but it's not gonna look good in this room because it's too small, there's not enough light or da, da, da.
Right. They can give feedback. So having that conversation and narrative is good because you get the recommendations that's going to give you the best outcome you're looking for. Um, and then I know sometimes I get pushy project owners. They were like, oh, but I want this. I said, now I can give it to you. And I will put a disclaimer. I can deliver exactly what you want. Anything you want to pay for, we can deliver. However, for you to have the enjoyable experience of your investment, those are the like words I use. I think you may want to do X, Y, Z. And they were like, oh, I'm so glad you told me that because I went to this lady's kitchen. I would have got dizzy. I would have been able to cook a doggone thing. She had a dizzy floor, a busy backsplash, a busy countertop. I'd be trying to cook and y'all have to lock me up somewhere. So we made a nice can I give you a recommendation for your backsplash? Kind of tie this together. And now she just loves her kitchen. I'm so glad you guys.
No,
So
I can imagine it must be very frustrating for the contractors, to be doing, because you can see one thing and
I don't want to
sometimes.
make something ugly. It's a lot of work. I'm a seamstress. I'm also a seamstress. So when I'm sewing a dress or a garment for somebody, I know it's gonna be ugly at the end. That's kind of hard, So can we make this a fun experience for me too? I'm looking forward to that creativity. And a lot of people understand it's a creative thing that I enjoy with renovating and remodel. It's my creativity. I love seeing creativity form. And I have to do all this hard work and it's gonna be ugly. I have to sometimes bite my tongue because people have different opinions of beauty. But I'm like, girlfriend, that's just not going to work in this kitchen space. And I was so glad she was kind enough and she just loved it afterwards. And,
So,
so it happens.
so what is a proper way of communicating if you don't like something to a contractor, so to speak, that's someone that knows their trade, or that this doesn't take it as an insult. It's not insult of like
To
what.
communicate to a contractor that you don't like the
Something,
product
or
or
something,
the
right, or it's a service or something like it doesn't look the way you thought, or
okay,
whatever
so
it is.
this is
So
so
it's
if
all
you see
because sometimes they do have this creative thing, and I've seen them get like, the face starts turning, or the eyes start rolling when you ask them to do it this way or do that way, and so forth. So you want to approach them.
you approach them very graciously. Oh, thank you so much for all the hard work, but I don't think this is going to give me exactly what I was looking for. Can we go back and review that? Because this is kind of what I'm looking for. Just follow me and do it right in the spot. This is what I was really looking. I see your light is here, but it really isn't centered. I'm gonna be frank. Men just complete the task, and that's nothing against them. They're oriented to complete the task. But if I come in my room and I said I would like to install 2 recessed lights, in my mind, I'm automatically going to think if there's a window there and I'm putting up 2 lights, I'm going to balance it. Men don't balance. Okay. So yeah, I have to go like, you know what? That light needs to come over foot. I know you're gonna have to cut a hole and I'm gonna finish that out, but I think the end product is gonna be much better because I have to do it with my subcontractors. Tell them, So we just move. It doesn't matter. It's just for light. That is true. It is just for light. I agree with them. It is just for light. But at the end of the day, we want to give the customers a good experience. I think they're going to enjoy this better if it's balanced. And I'll say easy. There's a woman who lives in this house and she's going to see that, you know. So I'll play it like that. But as a person, say, you know what? I really want it to be more balanced. And it may cost a little bit more to move it over, but I was expecting to have it there. And there are many times just to do it. It's not really, you know, that's what I say, check out your project a lot. Don't just let it go all the way to the end. And you're like, oh my God, total shock. They say they completed a phase. Go check and see. I'll tell you something I just learned this week was crazy. Rosin is my sister. She's on the call. We went to look at some properties. This guy said was 85% complete. And this is the thing, you have to steer clear of a contractor when you are doing a renovated property, especially if you have a contractor off site. I was in a group with a lady who had a contractor just wouldn't finish. I told her, finish him, just fire him. You're not gaining anything with him not getting finished, fire him. He didn't complete any work, so just have some downtime looking for someone new. When someone gets fired from the job, they don't wait till they have the replacement. They just have that vacancy for a moment. But they fixed his house up in the craziest way. He was nowhere near completion. He did a lot of work, but they fixed it in a crazy way, like fixing and painting the walls before the ceiling has even been repaired. You know, installing the floor before you put the cabinets in, and now your flooring stops 3 inches short of your cabinet. So I'm sure that's a very frustrated investor, and he wants to dump the deal and telling you it's 85%. There were a lot of things done, but you didn't have any heat. So there is no way you 80. Who fixed the walls before putting the new heating system in? You need to cut the wall to make a vent or a cold air return or whatever kind of heating source. It was just so sporadic. And I was like, oh, I feel so sorry for this investor. I said, I know, Roslyn, this is one of those sight unseen properties. He trusted somebody, sent him pictures of stuff completed. They took pictures of the wall. I know they didn't take pictures of the ceiling. I mean, it was literally chipped with falling paint and holes. And it was so sad. I felt so sorry for them. I know they're trying to cash out because they've probably been working on this forever. Steer clear of contractors who want to just get work done. Set your own order of completion up. That's the most important thing I can tell you. Set your own order of completion. We're logical people, right? Fix the ceiling before the walls. That's logical. That's logical. Do your floors absolutely last. Why refinish floors and you're still painting? You're finishing floors and you're still sanding and sawing. They put a tub around a beautiful shower bath area that had not even reglazed the tub. The tub was like 100 years old, looking 100 years old. You got this new tub around. Who works in a crazy fashion? So put the order for completion for your investment projects, because you'll get investors so they can do all of that. You do have some savings if you can get one team to do it all. You can experience some savings, but you want to make sure they're not just trying to get a weekly paycheck and just completing something to get paid versus moving your project toward completion. Hopefully I didn't confuse you on that one, but it was just
yeah, the biggest thing is that I don't recommend anyone being absentee. Some people do, and I admire their tenacity or their bravery, but I would not, I would be hands-on. I do not have a project where you're absentee. And that's if you're out of state, then go plan, get a hotel room and stay in that state while it's done, because you're hands off. You're just totally entrusting somebody else with your vision, but also your asset, you know. And people, like you said, these people, but they work with so many different subcontractors, and now you don't know whether it's a team that's been working together consistently or whether they're busy and they're subbing it out. And lots, not only just for the work itself, but for the supplies. I've seen supplies laying around. I've seen other people come by and pick up supplies. I've seen, I mean, because people, you know, lumber is expensive now. So I've seen people leave lumber out, and I've seen at night other people just, and I know that they just, you know, just went by and picked up the lumber and picked up the supplies. I've seen people use even plant gardening, landscaping. They leave all the plants outside, the ones that are not in the ground, on the sidewalk, but people just stop their car, load up their car, and they're taking, and these are things that you're paying for. These just all those little things add to your budget, and they add up. And especially if you're an investor, when you're trying to, you know, save as much so you can make more, then you don't want things like that to happen, and you don't want the use of different supplies. And it's really hard to tell, you know, a really good person in their work, besides the opportunity, like you said, seeing their work, what they're doing now. And I talk to that person, that homeowner, that investor, whoever it is that they're working for, when I can, if it's not a really direct referral, and say, now, how is it working with the person? Because maybe the person's work is wonderful, maybe their attitude sucks, maybe you're arguing with
I
them
was
all
going
the
to talk about the 3 C's. Remember the character, the capacity, because all of that goes into play. You want to make sure that you have somebody you can work with. And I definitely try and foster the spirit of partnership. I am in your space. I'm on your project as your partner to give you what you want. I don't come with I'm superior. I got this. We have an extensive conversation. I remember the last residential project I did. She said, I'm going to go with you. And she said, the reason I'm going to do so is you spent the most time with me up front talking about what I wanted in my kitchen. Now she ended up firing me at the end anyway, because she was a hands-on, and I gave her marching orders for the cabinets, and she went to the design center and changed the cabinets, and the cabinets wouldn't work for her kitchen. And then she got pissed because she had to wait another month because COVID is really impacting timelines. And so she still accuses me of her project should have been a week, 3 weeks, and it took 3 months. I said, that's because you didn't go buy the cabinets that I sent you to buy. You let the design person tell you, oh, you should upgrade to get drawers. Well, you was used to having this blind cabinet where she can use space behind another cabinet, and she bought 3 drawers. I can't afford to lose that much cabinet. I said, well, then you can't afford to have drawers. It wasn't complicated. You said you want the same kitchen. Well, you should have told me. I said, well, you said you're going to use the same kitchen layout, and you lived here 30 years. I figure you know better than me how your kitchens work. I gave her the dimensions, but anyway, that was one of those things that happened. So you win some, you lose some. But even then, in partnership, that's why she hired me. But then some women have a hard time relinquishing. I'm giving you guidance, but I can't make the final decision.
give you control. So what else? So you said as far as making sure that you said the characters, the personalities that, and you are able to work with the person and they're not adamant and argumentative, and you don't have to fight for everything that you want changed or just different.
Expect customer service. You are doing physical work or receiving a service of physical work, yes, but do not allow that to diminish the importance of you having proper customer service. They are servicing you. Anybody can put that cabinet in, kitchen in, bathroom in, basement, toilet, sink, whatever you're having, whatever product or service you're having performed. Do not ever discount customer service or think you should just go along with any type of communication because they're doing this work, and it might be beautiful work, but customer service, you are the customer. They're in your space. They're working on your investment project. Customer service still applies. And I educate a lot of young contractors all the time, all the way down to if you run in 20 minutes late, that's a call. The customers deserve to know her time is important, and that 10 to 11 is going to change to 11:40. That's an extra 40 minutes on someone's time. So all of that is important. And I think that we should always expect customer service in any project that you are investing in, because at the end of the day, it's your resources.
And then so the biggest thing too is the change of pricing. You get one
Change orders.
and usually it means numbers going up. I haven't experienced change orders where numbers went down. I know there's many times when people, this unexpected, they can only see but so much when they're initially doing it. And I always budget and allow for a few, like in this situation, maybe a couple of hours, because maybe it's going to take them a little longer, whatever it is. But when they start really coming in consistently, how do you deal with that? Especially with the meantime, they think that you're 3/4 or almost 85% through the deal. And are you going to fire them now? Are you going to say no now? How do you handle that when it's like totally exceeded your budget now? And sometimes it's not. If it's on you, you can understand that if it's reasonable, but if it's on them, as far as maybe having to bring somebody else in or whatever, how do you handle that?
So let me give you a good secret for change orders and what they should apply to. Change orders should only apply to something that is behind a wall. So you're putting in a new sink, and when they removed the cabinets, the entire wall was water rotted. They weren't planning to repair your wall. So then you say, we have a change order. Get the cost before all work is performed. Get the cost before any work is performed. You never negotiate after it's completed. Okay, we're going to have to go inside this wall. When we take this, it's probably gonna be some wet installation, gonna be a damaged wall. So get all that budgeted out, all items included. Make sure the electrical boxes didn't rust. Now they have plastic, but back in the day they were metal, so it might have rusted. So you find that everything has to be upgraded when you remove those cabinets. You do all the change order on paper first for any work is performed. So if it's something you're looking at and he saw it as well as you saw it, now he says, oh, you know what, I don't think I'm going to fit in that space. So we're going to have to, build the wall out or do something else. Then that's on the contractor because that was totally visible. So the only change order you should have, unless you implement saying, you know what, I decided instead of just stopping the cabinets here, go ahead and run it down the entire wall or create an L shape or create an island or some sort. That's a change order you initiate it. But anything else, it only should occur if it's behind the walls. They go to put a new light up in your ceiling. I want to take this old light and put a ceiling fan. When they get up in there, they realize there's no box, there's no wood. So they have to charge you extra $200 to build a wooden frame inside of there to hold your light. But there was no way they could know that. They
Right.
told you it's going to cost you $125 to change your light, but now they have to build a support system for your light.
Sure.
Those are the kind of things. So expect where a change order should be, but it should never be something that we all are looking at visibly.
Okay, awesome.
And
Great.
if you start exceeding your budget, because of these repairs, it just means you may have to phase your project. If you don't have a resource to get those extra dollars, then see what can you eliminate and maybe come back and put in later, especially when it's a kitchen. Maybe I'll just do half the kitchen right now, get all the stuff that's required. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have my other half cabinets that I'll have to put on order next month or 2 months, or something like that. If you can deal with, or if it's a basement and you don't have enough to put the whole bathroom in the basement, finish the bathroom and go get the bathroom later, right? Or put the second kitchen down there later because you end up having so much foundation work you didn't expect. Finish the basement, put the kitchen in later. So you can always break your project into parts if you see the change orders are taking you away from what you want to do. Now, when it's a rental in property and you have to get this done because these change orders are coming, it's just going to change your break-even point and when you start seeing your ROI, because you got to get it done. Just you want to move toward getting the money flowing, whether it's the rental income or the fix and flipping, you're selling it. You want to move that project toward the money coming in. You don't want to delay over a change order. Sometimes bite the bullet. You're just going to be less on the back end. So you got to rent longer before you get to a break even.
Awesome. Great information.